I just want to remind everyone that after the May 9th election, it was not an end of a long journey. It's a beginning of a new one. Okay, and so I think we are all in this together. The message from Dr. Maszlee was very clear that we're all in the same boat, right? We're all in the same boat here. And the new government is not a top-down approach. It is a participatory approach in a democratic sharing and working together aspect. So today, we also have to look at the comments as well as the questions that is going to come from the audience. Also in a context of political situations, because just now that was the easy part, painting the vision, the road ahead. The difficult part is the implementation. And of this, we have attitudes that's already ingrained. We have perceptions that's already been cast in stone. And these are not stumbling blocks, but they are challenges that, as in life, we will definitely have to go through. So we need to be aware that whatever comments and whatever questions, whatever concerns that we have on education, it is not on the shoulders of Dr. Maszlee or Dr. Ibrahim here, but it's on our shoulders. Okay, I hope everyone can be in agreement with that, because if not, then we will not go anywhere. Because education is a quagmire of minefields if we are not looking at it in a holistic context of political and social concerns. So I think I'll begin the discussion or the conversation with the ones which Liana has outlined. But if we look at there are 5 that they wanted to ask, so we'll go that first before we go to the question. I think question number 1, or the concern number 1, which was about value-driven, as well as the second one, which is holistic, I think they're about the same, I think. So we can handle that together. So the question that they were asking, as I said just now, something we also have to answer, which was what is this value-centered approach and this holistic situation? How do we, in one sense, go about doing it? And I think Maszlee and Dr. Ibrahim, Maszlee also being an academic himself, will be giving some suggestions. It's not policies or anything like that, but suggestions to spark off the conversation or the dialogue and the discourse. So perhaps maybe I'll invite Dr. Ibrahim Bajunid first to talk about these 2 points.
Yeah. I'll go beyond the 2 points. The 3 speakers are very inspiring. You see, the 3 speakers reflect that Malaysia has come to a stage where we are. The minister, the last 9 months over, he has been coming up with for so long, but was not made the decision about caring for the stateless citizens. You know, how can we go through and talk about all kinds of values when we don't care about the children, when we don't care about the stateless people, when we understand that 1/3 of the population of Sabah, if my data is correct, they are not Malaysians. They are Malaysians, but they are foreigners. The same problem unfolds in the US when Donald Trump raised issues like this, and there's a quarrel between the Republicans and the Democrats. Now, that issue about recognizing and about giving opportunities to the students to come into our school system is one of the most important policy decisions made by any minister. I was, over the years, in many committees with other ministers, but they dared not make that decision. Now, I just chose that because it's a very important policy decision. Many others are initiatives. I'd just like to share this. This is sad, but it's true. If you go to Chao Kit, there is a school, this is about values. There's a school where the headmaster goes and sleeps with the homeless, where the headmaster goes to the rooms, rented rooms of prostitutes and drug addicts and gay people, where when he goes to the gay group, they will be kissing him, where he has stories about his student. When the customers come to the mother girl, she will move out until the customers perform whatever with the mother, and then she'll go in the room again, and they rent the room, and they have to pay the bills. And on occasions, when the mother is indisposed, the mother asks the daughter to go into the same profession. And it is not just in Chao Kit, it's also in other places in our country. So when we talk about education, we have an idealized kind of situation, and we uphold this idealized situation. But then we very often ignore other realities. Also in Chao Kit, there are many voluntary organizations, one of which is led by a lady by the name of Ayu. She gave me permission to quote her. They used to teach the reading, writing, etc. on the roads. But she had no room. But there was this biscuit, a Chinese man, a biscuit kind of seller, Julie. And Julie said to her and gave to her rent for 3 years, rental for her community center for 3 years. And Julie later on said that as long as he lives, he's going to pay for her rent. She takes care of 50 students for 66 ringgit a day to give them 3 or 4 meals. Now, this is not just in Chao Kit, as I mentioned earlier. It's elsewhere. You go to Sabah and Sarawak. You go to the inland areas of Pahang and Kelantan and Terengganu, we have the same situation. And YB Maszlee mentioned earlier on that people call him about toilets. When toilets in schools do not work and they are not repaired for months, then why are we talking about quality? What quality are we talking about? It's always on paper, but the realities are different. And this is where, while we have beautiful blueprints, we have powerful, inspiring ideas, it's about leadership. And leadership is not just at the level of the minister or those in the bureaucracy, but we have very serious problems in the country. We refuse to discuss ideology related to education. We always discuss the idealized kind of values. But besides the values are the headmongers. Besides the values are those people who, all of whom, go against the values and the virtues. And they cut across religion and language and race and future views, future world views. Tun Abdullah said something very interesting, which we have been following through, related and inspired, very inspiring. For as long as we do not ensure, like if we take teaching, we have 500,000 teachers. How do the ideas and the amanat of YB reach the 500,000 teachers? Or even the directors of education? And if we are talking about the blueprint, you can check. Go to the district offices, go to the schools. Most of the teachers still have no access to the blueprint. You ask Padu, And we do have all these problems, but I will stop because I know
I think when you said that we have first class facilities
and third world mentality.
I thought just a few places only. Because when people say that Dr. Maszlee is not doing anything, he's trying to solve all these basic issues of broken chairs and things like that, which is something very sad. And I think this mentality is also something to be considered in regard to what we think as a quote-unquote world-class education. Okay, so I think the question about the teachers, that was very interesting. And I also would like to remind the audience with regard to, again, centering the policies and vision to Dr. Maszlee. As I said, we are all in this together. There's so many people who understand the idea of education, okay? And I think it's just a matter of letting them do the thing and not to center it on, and I think we are too leader-centric, and I'm not really saying that it's a bad thing. We need leaders, but we also know that we are all also leaders in one way or another. So when we speak, understand that 70% of the problem is us as well as falling on us rather than on a single person. Can you share your thoughts on the question about the values and third thing?
Okay, that was a long one. Okay, I still remember when I was first appointed by the Prime Minister to this position. I have the privilege to visit him and to ask him personally what he wanted me to do or what he wants me to do. So when I stepped in his office, sitting in front of him, I said, "Sir, you're giving me these two mountains on my back." It was massive and huge. What do you want me to do? And he explained few things, but I still remember he started by saying that, sharing his experience. He said when he was first appointed as a minister, he was appointed as a Minister of Education. The first thing he did was meeting up with more than how many hundreds of teachers. Maybe Prof Bajunid still remember that moment. I mean, he went to meet them at Institute Amidin Baki College, Teachers Training College. He was explaining the importance of values. You know, he had always known of that. When he first became the Prime Minister, he came out with bersih, cekap, amanah. Clean, efficient, and trustworthy. Yeah, bersih, cekap, amanah. And actually it was not new with him. When he first appointed as the Education Minister, he said he explained to the teachers for more than half an hour on the importance of value, on how he would like to see the future generation of Malaysia would be. They need to be hardworking, they need to be full of integrity, they need to be trustworthy, they need to be clean, they need to, you know, all those good values. After he finished his amanat, his speech, there came the Q&A. The very first question from the teachers. What was the question, Prof? Bila gaji cikgu nak naik? When will the salary of the teachers will be elevated? For him, he was very frustrated with the question. After a lengthy lectures about values, the very first question that popped out was about the salary. But again, I could understand the grievances of the teachers. But anyway, and then he said, you know that when I was elected for the second time as the Prime Minister of Malaysia, I wanted this post because he wanted to correct what he did not do right in the past. He said that when he was first appointed as Minister of Education, he failed to deliver certain things. And now it is time to pay back. But he said, the manifesto does not allow him to do so. Tan Sri Rafidah said, don't listen to the manifesto. No. But he said, so I want you to accomplish what I have not managed to deliver. So I said, what do you want me to do, sir? He said, bring values to schools. I want Malaysians not only be excellent in their examination, but they must also be equipped with all the values needed to be good citizens. I want them to be trustworthy, full of integrity. I want them to emphasize on cleanliness. I want them to be hardworking, especially the Malays, specifically, you know, being Tun M. They said, I want Malays to be as hardworking as the Chinese. No, he did not take the Chinese, the Japanese. Look at Japan. You know, he's obsessed with Japan, and Japanese is an open secret. He said, I want them to have this sense of humility. I want them to have this sense of, you know, shame if they commit wrongdoings. You know, the Japanese are known of their bushido in the past. If they couldn't accomplish certain tasks, if they committed something wrong, they commit suicide. You know? And in our first cabinet meeting, he said, I want the ministers to have that sense of integrity. If they fail to accomplish certain things, they feel ashamed. So in order to avoid the shame, they will strive, they will work, they will, you know, continue striving. And he said, I want to see who's the first minister committing suicide. But he was joking. Anyway, media, please don't quote me. Okay. Too late. No. So he said, he envisioned that. He would like Malaysians to have this transformation into Malaysians 2.0.
Yes, but Maszlee, aside from institution Shintoism in Malaysia...
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
I mean, the point that Dr. Mahathir is always talking about the Japanese, and he admires this so-called characteristic. Yeah. But does he not understand that it's tied specifically to certain kind of a philosophical or religious or spiritual construct?
Yes, it is, but...
So how is it that he expects such things with respect to... So what is our construct? Is it Islam? Is it...
No, this is the issue. So when I asked him about the same question, he said that, you know, most of the religions, they preach all those kind of values. You know, even Islam, we're talking about Islam. Islam encourages us to be faithful. Islam encourages us to work hard. Islam encourages us to have all this sense of integrity and whatnot. But unfortunately, the Islam that we practice in Malaysia, we emphasize a lot on this positive legalistic thing. Halal, haram, either you go to hell, most of you, and you're going to heaven.
So, you know? Chocolate haram chocolate and rasa halal, is it?
Yeah, chocolate. That's your article. Not only that, the washing machine haram, the haram laundry. You know, those kind of things. So he said that, Maszlee, because you come from religious studies background, please change this. You know, the sense of religiosity that has been embraced by many Muslims nowadays, unfortunately, is the narrative that lagging them behind, that will never make them progressive. It is lack of values. We are talking about who can judge others more. You know, it's with your appearances, with your judgmental mentality, who is holier than other. You know, this kind of mentality. This is not the way. For Ahmad Bajunid, for him, the real Islam is Islam that push you to work harder, that make you a highly, you know, integrity person, that makes you a person who is ashamed if you cannot deliver the responsibility that were given to you. You know, those kinds of values. But unfortunately, those values has not been taught in our religious classes. The cleanliness, the idea, when you mentioned just now about masjid, about mosque. By the way, two of these gentlemen here, they are my mentors. I learn a lot from them. education from Prof Bajunid, and also learn a lot about this, not architecture, but about social constructivism. You know, social consequences. Just now, you put John Rawls' book. I was wondering, why didn't you put sense? The theory of justice. Anyway, Nozick is better than Sen anyway. Yeah. We're coming from same school of thoughts in economy. Okay, anyway, so what was I saying just? The social construct. When you're talking about mosque, it's not only about mosque as a place for worship. It's about a community center. You know, the way you look at it for all, you look at it from social consequentialism. This similar is what Amartya Sen said in his Theory of Justice book. Anyway, so we're not looking at Islam only from its purely legalistic components, but from its social consequentialism. How a mosque could bring people together. And this is where I think one of the things that the Prime Minister wanted me to do is to turn our schools into a sharing place where people come together and mutually respecting each other, despite the differences of their race, their ethnicity, their faith, and their background, where they can come together, play together, eat together, and living together. This is what we're lacking of. As I remember, in my lectures during my days in the university, I always asked my students in their very first day. I was then I was teaching politics and Islamic studies. I did ask them, what are we missing in Islamic studies and politics? Normally they will say this, that, democracy, whatnot. I said, no, we are talking about all those kind of things. But I think what we are missing in politics, they are taking with the introduction to politics 101, introduction to international politics, comparative politics. I told them what is missing in this textbook, what is missing in the discourse is love. We never tried to connect love with politics. What we are missing is happiness. And this is very strange. Even when talking about Islamic political theory, people always going to the current revivalism notion of politics is all about Islamic State, hudud, punishment, Khalifa, and whatnot. And I told them, unfortunately, our scholars in the past, you look at Al-Ghazali, you look at Farabis, when they're talking about politics, they said the highest aim for politics is to achieve happiness.
Yeah, just aside from the idea of Islam and its concern, I think the same could apply to people taking on engineering and architecture, for instance, where there is no global or humanity construct, but only basically the practice of this thing. Because I mean, other than just Islam, we do have such as the Sustainable Development Goal. We also have other humanistic theories. How is it that our students from engineering, when we ask them, and I have interviewed a lot of students, they have no idea of all about such a human construct, whether it be Muslim, whether it be Shintoism, whether it be Machiavellian or whatnot. It's fine.
This is where I think the fourth M is rather important. We're talking about the 3M, membaca, menulis, mengira, reading, writing, and arithmetic. You know, and now we're going to add the fourth M into our education system, which is manusiawi, the humanistic element.
I will just join in here. You see, we focus on the curriculum, but our curriculum is always outdated in so many ways. And in the universities, you can change your curriculum, 30% of it. But in the schools, you cannot change any of the curriculum that's disseminated. Now, talking about many of the ideas we are talking about, people don't have concept. There's no discourse on education. And when there's a discourse regarding values, there's confusion. For instance, how many people really see the distinction between sympathy and empathy? How many see the distinction between benchmarking and bandwagoning? In the system, we bandwagon. We don't understand the distinction between benchmarking and bandwagoning. And we don't understand the distinction between tolerance and acceptance. So all the time, very patronizing, we say, tolerate them. But we don't accept them, we never accept them. So there's no vocabulary which encourages deeper discourse. So our system remains superficial and mechanistic, and it cannot go into that manusia way, humanizing the curriculum. And we distinguish between curriculum and co-curriculum. Actually, the co-curriculum is seamless. It's from the curriculum into the co-curriculum. And the co-curriculum can be very cognitive, very psychomotor, very cognitive, and it can reinforce, and it can even open up new opportunities for people to grow, and the character building kind of thing. Character building is not just in the classes about values. In fact, character building in schools, the sports teachers are more important in helping people grow rather than the moral or religious teachers who just focus on the teaching of values. It is values in action on the sports field, in the camps, etc. Now, the point I want to raise here, which is so important, we meet together, and mostly is an educated group, is the middle class, upper middle class group in most of our meetings. But then, you know, top level, and then we talk patronizingly and, you know, almost lovingly, caringly about the B40. But we forget the lower middle class, which just came out from the working class, and then the upper middle class. And that group, I would refer to Dr. Diana's books, the two books which are very important, you know, Utopia, Anarchy, and then Justice, Realm of Law. How many of us read these books? We do. No, you do. Yeah. Yes, you do. But how many? Tun Mahathir used to go, when he was the Prime Minister, etc., he used to give books to Intan, books like The Mind of the Strategist. And when he came back from Japan, you know, Tun Mahathir himself grew over the years. He influenced the education system to focus on manipulative skills, and then to move on to living skills. And then when he got involved with the Malaysian car and met many of the top engineers, etc., the focus was on design thinking. And right now the focus is on high order thinking. So many of us who have the opportunities of meeting top people from everywhere, we conceptualize. And we conceptualize at the level we understand among ourselves. But then down the line, one of the things YB Maszlee is pushing, he says it's no more top-down, it has to be bottom-up. But then bottom-up, if we want it to be bottom-up, we have to unleash the autonomy of the thought processes of our people, and to believe and generate indigenous knowledge. Indigenous knowledge, you know, the indigenous knowledge of the orang asli, of those Bumiputra of Sabah and Sarawak, and also of the Malays. Indigenous knowledge is actually not just local knowledge. Indigenous knowledge is also universal knowledge. We have not unleashed that. And we don't have that vocabulary of the indigenous knowledge, just as we don't have the vocabulary of the World Bank and UNESCO and UNICEF and all the rest. But the question is, who is spreading the register of concepts which are about internalizing values and internalizing the way forward for developing our nations? Are the universities doing that? The universities are in their silos with their own subjects. And are the teachers' colleges doing that? The teachers' colleges are not touching anything regarding ideology. They focus on pedagogy and evaluation.
Well, still on the same subject of this revolutionary thinking about the creation of the manusiawi, or the idea of humanizing, I think this is the stage of where we are supposed to go into the future. And a few stumbling blocks are what I can see from 30 years of experience is the MQA, as well as the professional bodies. I mean, architecture, we get the professional bodies coming, knocking doors all the time. And what I feel is that when you impart, say, architecture or engineering education, I notice that we are imparting information, we are imparting practice, and we are imparting experience. But experience which are not structured cannot be called knowledge. You know, you have 10 years experience in engineering, so what? You know, when you give it to the student, it still remain experience. That there's no structure, there's no attitude, there's no value system into it. So when let's say that the university is to innovate towards this thing, how do we look at this MQA approach where you bring in old teachers coming in to enforce certain practices that was done before? Then how do we look at also the professional body? Who guards them? Who advises them?
Okay, I think your question is valid, but we must understand one of the reasons that we move forward quite fast in having quality education and being recognized. For instance, the private universities have actually contributed, as you said rightly, so very, very importantly. But regarding MQA, you see, among the institutions that we have, which are really good ones, are the Exam Syndicate, the Curriculum Development Center, Teacher Education. These were the ones we actually adopted from Britain, etc. So MQA is one of those institutions which has done the country good. However, there are some weaknesses, like the boards. When it comes to the professional boards, it's not the MQA. It's actually the professional boards. So if we want to reform, we have to look at it in totality. And as you say, the MQA bring in experienced panels. But when it comes to the professional boards, the reform should be...
I'd just like to hear your...
I think, Prof, the issue with MQA that has been faced by most of our friends here is not much about the regulation and the governing depth of MQA itself, but it's more about the bureaucracies and red tapes and all those, you know, tedious paperwork. I hear you, I listen to you, and we are trying all our best to reduce all the red tapes and the bureaucracy. And more than that, the way forward is for the ministry, not only myself, but all the agencies within the ministry. The way forward is engagement. I will encourage everybody to engage more with all the stakeholders. This is where I think the bottom-up approach is pertinent. So the way forward for MQA and whatnot is for MQA to engage more with the private institutions, to listen to them, and to find a win-win solution for everybody without compromising the quality. So quality will not be compromised. This is where, like I mentioned earlier, the performance-based evaluation, performance-based quality will be adopted in our future way forward for it. And talking professional body, no, that is beyond my territory. But anyway, we will talk to them. I was visited by some of them, and we will continue talking to them. This is the way forward. And we did touch on schools just now. So it is out of the MQA question, but I think the way forward for international schools and our public schools is to work together, to talk to each other. Just like I mentioned earlier, I would like schools to be space where people learning on how to live together. So the other day when I was in JB, I was mesmerized with the cooperation that been initiated by Sekolah Agama with 4 new schools. So we would like this kind of cross-cultural events, sports events together, makan-makan events together, and also student exchange, teacher exchange between schools. You have international schools, you have Sekolah Agama, you have SJKC, you have SMPC. Now it's the time for us to come together. We have the idea of twinning or sister schools. Some of the schools here, with schools in Finland maybe, with schools in Australia, in Japan. But why not we start with our own local sister schools? For example, we have Sekolah Menengah Agama Putrajaya. Why not it become a sister school with the International School of Australia? And with also Sekolah Orang Asli in Perak. This is where we learn mutual respect. The current dilemma, the current problem that we're having, the mutual mistrust, the mutual prejudice among different ethnicities in Malaysia, it because of the lack of engagement. This is where the way forward for us in these coming days are for schools to come together. And this is where private universities come into the picture, and where these private the foundations come to fund these kind of activities. Just like the story that I mentioned just now about that girl, that initiative was funded by American Embassy. And the scholarship was given by Jeffrey Chia. So I would like to see more kind of these initiatives to come into picture, to bring people together. This is one thing. Another thing, let me answer some of the questions that have been posted. Otherwise, we won't give justice to all those who have texted all those questions. Okay, number one, there was a question on the blueprints. The blueprint for basic education and blueprint for higher education. Where are the blueprints in our future and vision? I would like to say we start where they stop. We are further enhancing the contents of the blueprints. And a lot of things that I mentioned earlier, they are all in the blueprints. The PPP, the inclusivity, the engagement, the stakeholders engagement, and all those similar things, they are part of the blueprints. And number two, somebody was asking about inculcating psychology into our curriculum. Yes, that will be part of our new curriculum. Just wait for it. At the school level and also at the higher learning institution, we're going to introduce, instead of pengajian umum, we try to introduce another subject on philosophy and ethics. That is very important. And I hope that private universities would also embrace that subject. And talking about PPP, yes, endowment is the way forward. We're going to empower the alumni, not only alumni at the universities, but also alumni of schools. Even the primary school, we need people to come back to the alma mater, to help back the alma mater. That is the way forward. And we could see, good examples, showcase examples of certain elite schools of how their alumni has been working together to help their alma mater. Budak Kolek, Budak Boys, and TKC, apa semua tu kan. So, we would like that to happen in all schools in Malaysia and all universities, which eventually will lead towards the idea of endowment. What is the policy regarding that? The recent tax incentive that been declared, that been mentioned in the parliament by the Minister of Finance in Mugan the other day, that any contribution to the universities and schools will be tax exempted. So this is the way forward, and now
we would like to see some sort of concluding remarks with regards to a certain philosophical construct or approach that you want to.
But there's a question I'd like to ask is about special education. You see, they used to, all the children with problems used to be kept at home, etc. But what are we going to do with special education? Is one neglected area. For so long it has been neglected. They don't have enough equipment, they don't have teachers. So what are we going to do about special education?
This is where our zero reject policy come into the picture. Beginning from this year, we have this zero reject policy. We welcome all students to come to school. But we also acknowledge the lacking of certain facilities at schools. This is where we need your help. We need the public-private partnership. We need all the Yayasan Foundation. We need all the companies to come into the picture to help our public schools as well as our private schools. And for our private schools, I know out there, and I think those, some of you guys in this hall are part of those institutions or schools that are taking care of the students with special needs. Please work together with us. Please work together with our public schools who are emphasizing on children with special needs. We need your help. We need your assistance. Come and talk to us. Come, we work together.
Thank you very much. I will consider that the concluding remark by the Minister and also Dr. Ibrahim Bajunid.
May I just one concluding point, because I thought you wanted to.
Yes.
You see, there's the concept of scholar teachers. Many things can happen when the teachers have self-esteem and self-confidence, and it is part of what the ministry wants to do, to raise the level of the stature of the teaching profession. And that can only happen, the concept scholar teacher can only happen if the teachers are readers, if they also go into literature, go into the arts, they go into philosophy, and then they have self-esteem as a profession. So when teachers have self-esteem in the teaching profession, then I think we will be able to bring about the changes that we were talking about with so many hybrid objectives.
Yes. Well, before we end, I think one of the most pertinent questions, I was going to get into it just now, but the discussion had turned into more of the value center. It's about the private university. It's been around for a long time, and I think it's your contribution to nation building is quite clear. And some of the situation in which we're still looking at it as a business venture, but I think we've gone beyond that. How do we look at the sustainability with regard to sharing some of the responsibilities of making sure that they is still around with regards to this country?
So I think, can I just stick to the very first question instead? Yes, we will help.
We have been hearing a monologue rather than a dialogue. I think, wait, let me finish. I came here to give my input. I am a teacher, I was a teacher, and I did 35 years of productive work. I can give my input, but I'm not getting anything. All I'm asking is philosophy. Now, what is important in schools, and this is from the ground level, we have so much pushed down the throats of our students. The quality of our teachers is so low that parents send their children to tuition immediately after school. Now this is what we have to solve. This is what we need to solve. We must have a system where the teacher teaches, and as soon as they finish, they have a break, then do it like they do it in Finland and Japan. The student doesn't take home work. Work is done supervised by the teacher in the schools. That is the way we have to go forward. You see, it's no point talking in all these big philosophy terms. I understand philosophy, I love philosophy. But what we want is rock bottom. Rock bottom, what is happening in our schools today. It is very sad. Very, very sad. I was sent to Scholar Alam Shah. I was educated totally in English. I was sent to Scholar Alam Shah. I felt a fish out of water. But I picked up my Bahasa. Now I can give a talk in Bahasa off the cuff. I don't have any paper qualifications in Bahasa. Now this is what we are talking about. And I produced results which nobody wanted to even share. I taught 121 students in Scholar Alam Shah. the maths percentage was only about 40%. Additional maths was 5%. I taught maths and additional maths to Form 4, Form 5 and even upper 6. When the results came out, when I thought, out of the 121 students, 83 of them got A1 and A2.
Sir, can I give
And
you
these are Malay students
Can I give you a mic, sir? Can I give you a mic?
These are mainly Malay students from rural areas. They were poor in maths not because they are not intellectual enough. The teaching was so rotten that when they came to Alam Shah, they came at Form 4, but their standard was only, the standard of appreciation of maths was only about Form 2. I worked hard. I gave my soul because of the headmaster. The headmaster was a fine Malay gentleman. He was a father figure to me. So I decided to give all I could. And I produced the results which no one has ever produced.
Thank you very much.
This is what we are talking, commitment to a cause.
I think we reflective much of what you say. I have also felt about the quality of education, and I think the minister has made clear the vision forward, and it is up to all of us to implement. But you must understand that the idea of moving 450,000 teachers is something which is a huge task in there.
I am fully aware of the problem. I am fully aware of the problem. We have got to tackle. Our students in primary schools are burdened with subjects which are not worth learning. At primary 1, primary 2 and up to year 3, they only should learn maths, maths, languages and arithmetic, nothing else. When they come to level 4, put history in, put value systems in. If you teach science to a student in primary, all he does is to vomit it out. He doesn't know what he's talking about. This is what I'm talking about. This is rock bottom. We must start there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, that's the fun part of being a politician. I remember writing something about what the gentleman has said about Standard 1 learning only 3 subjects, and I fully agree. I think we are heading towards that. It's just that it's a concern of time.
This is what we are doing now, actually.
Yes, I think.
When we eliminated the exam for year 1 to 3, and we're going to emphasize more on character building. And thank you, Cikgu, for supporting what we are doing.
So thank you very much for, have you finished on the endowment? I think that it was quite clear already, right? Yeah. Thank you very much for everyone for participating. Actually, I wanted the old-fashioned way of question and answer, but we're having this new way of a forum. And I would like to just say that today the dialogue has emphasized and also has explained much about the vision as well as certain characteristics of what it's going to become in the very, very near future. But it requires us all to come together on this journey.
I think a lot of them would want us to discuss about the question, but the organizer, do we still have time?
Half an hour. We have time. Why do we have time?
I think
I cannot read the... Okay, can we put it here, please? Okay, for the question number 1, yes, I said I will support any effort to empower our learning institutions. So the idea of endowment, I fully support it. Yeah. Question number 2, let's get to the questions already. Now where I'm doing it. I'm doing it now. Number 3, on regulation, the mata pelajaran umum general studies is seen highly biased. What is the YB's comments on that matter? I mentioned to you earlier, we're going to introduce a new subject on philosophy and ethics. Number 4, can Minister explain more about stream? When will it be implemented? Is the first step will government take to... Wah, sakit tengku. Organizer, could you please put it here so I don't need to turn my back? Yeah. Okay. So about the stream. Oh, I didn't carry my handphone with me. Yeah. Oh, your iPad. Okay. sorry. Okay. So where was it? No. Okay. About the stream. I think the word stream coming from STEM with additional A and R. A means arts and R means reading. So among the suggestions that we received from our JKD, actually, the way forward is to go for a streamless schools. We are not going to put our students into science and arts anymore. Everybody must learn about everything. This is where our STEM movement, we're going to turn STEM into way of life instead of only a stream. Sorry, it's just confusing talking about, referring to stream and that stream. So this is where in our future new curriculum that we're going to implement, and thanks to our JKD and our Tumaja Penasihat Kebangsaan who are part of the team to develop that new curriculum, we will emphasize not only about science but also about arts, just like I mentioned earlier, arts and culture. Because knowledge is one. We cannot just compartmentalize everything. It should be integrated, everything. So the way forward for us is to make STEM as a way of life. And not only at schools, but also we must create a good narrative, a good dominant narrative in the public life. It's very unfortunate nowadays if we see the scientific mentality is not there yet. This is where I think I need to engage more with the media and also with our movies and film producers to get the scientific mentality. Tomorrow night or tomorrow evening, I'll be meeting all the film producers, asking them to add more scientific mentality in our people's mind. Okay, the way for stream. This is not the same thing here. Okay, how can MOE reduce the administrative workload? Okay, done. Moderator, shall we move on to Q&A, please? We are. Anonymous, what is the outcome of the government review on the PTPTN loan repayment method through scheduled pay deduction? They have yet come to me with the result. They will come to me, I think, in this near future. To get a starting point, could we please know where the two blueprints stand in the designing of the future? I've answered that. This is not a talk show. Please respect us. Answer questions. I'm doing it now. How are we to eliminate the stigma on mental health through education? Just like I mentioned earlier, that the idea of inclusivity will be inculcated into our new curriculum. And psychology. I've been visited by environmentalists, human rights activists, women organization, and everybody is begging me, please include this as a subject. The other day, SPRM came to my office, not to investigate me, by the way, asking me, we need subject on anti-rasuah. So everybody want a lot subjects of their interest. We would end up with 100 subjects for year 1 until year 6. Our cikgu wouldn't be happy with that. I wouldn't be happy with that. The students wouldn't be happy with that. But what we can do is to integrate all those contents into our curriculum, into our literacy subjects, into bahasa, into our pendidikan civic, in our co-curriculum. This is where I totally agree with Professor Bajunid when he said curriculum and co-curriculum should not be separated. We should be viewed in a more integrated manner. Okay, so this is where all this environment, human rights, democracy, civic will come together in the new curriculum. Most educational discourses and policy revolves were and are student-centric. Should we also focus further on parents and teachers as well? Just like mentioned earlier, we are working not only on students at schools, but also we are looking at education in its comprehensive worldview. You know, education should not be confined within the four walls of the classroom. The media should help us, you know, in creating a fresh narrative on the way forward for education. This is where I'm working closely with the media and also with the film producers and others to produce this educating narration for our community. Will refugee kids be allowed? We need to revert education system to English. There is no other option. Wow. I hope it is simply as simple as it's being said. But the task forward, wow. The moment I say yes, you'll find a demonstration of Tonjong and Perkasa and Pejuang Bahasa Melayu and Pejuang Bahasa Tamil in front of the hotel. That's a reality. The way forward, for me, I believe I need to engage. We need to engage. We need to sit down together. Now everybody is talking from their side without trying to mutually understanding each other and trying to find the middle ground and strike a balance. The problem that we inherited of the previous system, the government always thought that they know the best. They want to implement what they thought is the best for the people. This is not right. We need to appreciate people. We need to engage with the stakeholders. This is where some of the changes, I mean, a lot of people came to me. Some asking me for English education. Some asking me to, you know, eliminate vernacular schools. Some even coming to me and say that the way forward is to turn everything to sekolah agama. Some came to me, you know, a lot of ideas. But we need to sit down and talk together. We need more open forum like this. At the university level, at public forum, and also everywhere. This is where sometimes when we have this space for democracy, but we are not fully utilizing it. Just the same goes with the media. We are lacking of the intellectual debate in the open forum. Yes, that's right.
Sir, if I may be very frank, what you have said, what the two panelists have said, really inspires. But to be very frank, the mood of the country, I think, is such that they are not very convinced that we will follow up with these policies of change. Now, the real problem, as I see it, is the political will. A lot of these issues, and some of us have been very familiar with it for a long time, the teaching of English, the low standards in the PISA results, universities don't do that well except a few. In terms of rankings and ratings, we have gone down. Now, there must be a political will to teach more science, to teach more English, to have less emphasis on Islamic studies in our public schools, and that's why people are leaving, even Muslim, Malays, leaving the schools, going to Chinese schools. The Tamil schools, they feel reluctant. This is the kind of feedback. So it's wonderful we are having this forum, and they will continue. ASLI, we will do our best to help, because Tan Sri Jeffrey Char's philosophy also is, we are here to work with the government for a better country. So we will do it. But my question then is, what is your assessment of the political will? How strong is it? Thank you, sir.
The fact that I'm here shows the political will is there for change. And we will work together.
I think in the case of YB Maszlee, he has the political will, and his colleagues also have the political will, but we do not really have leadership teams as we go down. There's this book by Warren Bennis. The title of the book is Organizing Genius. We have those powerful overarching ideas, but as you raise and as other people may have raised, is creating the circles of leaders who will support those ideas and help implement them. But when we are here, we will say we support, But do we follow through after this? And how do we follow through to support? For instance, give the case of music. YB has a problem trying to convince certain groups in the country to accept music. And then he also has a problem to try to get resources for the special needs people. And for the people I mentioned earlier towards the beginning, those enclaves of poverty. So you see, this is where the NGOs need to come. We cannot depend on the government. We accept the political will is there, but then they have problem of resources. So we must have, like what Tan Sri Jeffrey mentioned, he's going to invest 1 billion to try to help others. And then we need more. And the more will have to come from NGOs. And this is where we are, the NGOs for education are asking the minister to support the various initiatives by NGOs, or various kinds of NGOs. And then we will get somewhere.
So, by the way, I stand. What steps are being taken to ensure that school administration actually undertake the reforms ordered by MOE with regards to paperwork? I think the approach now is to get my officers, first and foremost, to buy in whatever the vision that I've presented. And they're working hardly, they're working relentlessly to make sure the trickle-down instruction is there. PPP, public-private sector partnership, mentioned many times. Social sector plays important role in education for special needs, and we should forge. Latest question? No. Oh, should go up. Yeah. It's too small. I need to go here. Huh? Oh. Okay.
Sorry.
No. Can I answer first?
Minister Maszlee.
No, I was in the middle reading that question. Can I finish first?
Okay.
Dato? Okay. So the PPP, should we forge? Where's the question? Oh, sit here. No, it's the PPP, the public-private partnership. So, if not mistaken, okay, it's here. Social sector plays important role in education for special needs. MOE should forge public social partnerships too. Yes, I totally agree with that, and this is what we are doing. The continuous engagement with the NGOs, especially, and agencies that are working towards enhancements of the education for the special needs is there. And I think thus far we have a series of engagement with all the NGOs. Yes, Dato, please.
Yeah, thank you. Not to be impertinent or anything, Dr. Maszlee. I am Said Ali Tawfiq Alatas, I think you know that. And I am a scholar of Islam. I am also a scholar of education, scholar of language. I think I do know a little bit about what I'm saying. I don't mean to be impertinent, and this is no personal attack. Our teacher friend earlier, I share his sentiments completely. You said earlier that you hear and that you are listening. I kind of doubt that. I think you hear, but the listening part is a little bit suspect. The reason is this. He is now showing his frustration about what's happening. Rotten was the word he used. Let's face reality and state for once and for all, this education system is broken. Now the theme for this dialogue was bridging the gaps. These gaps are chasms. It's not a matter of bridging anymore. We have to completely reevaluate and change. The system is gone, it's broken. There is a new system that needs to be in place. And what he was suggesting about reducing things to 3 subjects, that's exactly what we are talking about. You don't seem to understand the mind of the young students, how they are prepared throughout their development. You have to have logic, you have to have reason, These are all inculcated in reading, writing, and arithmetic. All of that is necessary, even until Standard 5, not Standard 3. Standard 5. You don't have to do anything else. You just add a few more subjects. At most, by the end of the student's education, he only needs 6 or 7 subjects by the end of his education, before he goes to university. Now here in this country, we are trend-based. Everything in this country has to do with trend. And unfortunately, everyone in the school is political appointees. This is the problem. Get rid of all the political appointments. Don't put politicians as vice-chancellors in universities. They are ruining everything because they are connected to an ideology, to an inculcation of something political. Education is not about that. You talk about lifelong learning. Oh, that's a great dream. You talk about being excellent, all these key words. These are all political words. Excellent, wonderful, wondrous, cemerlang, gemilang, all political catchphrases. Nothing is going to happen. I honestly implore you, Dr. Maszlee, if you really want something to happen, get the right people. These are not the right people. Political appointees, political affiliated people are not the right people. Get rid of them. I've been saying this for 20 years. No one's been listening. I've been saying the education system is broken for 20 years. No one's listening. I even told Dr. Mahathir when I saw him on Monday. I spoke to him for almost an hour. And I said to him, I'm coming to this event with you. Would he mind it if I were to criticize? Oh, by all means, he said, because I was saying that unfortunately in this country, you make criticism, you are sidelined. They don't like hearing that. Everything has to be hunky-dory and the beautiful, that everything is good. It's not good. Everything is broken. This system is broken. Your idea of science is big talk. We are not going to do that. This fourth industrial revolution does not really concern us. We are not one of the top 25 countries in the world that's going to lead the drive in the fourth industrial revolution. We are not going to do that. Therefore, why are we so concerned about, what do you call it? Artificial intelligence. We don't even have intelligence, let alone artificial intelligence. You know, let me tell you, the first pathway to education, and I actually agree with you, I applaud you when you say you want to inculcate the arts. That is extremely important, and you are the first Minister of Education to ever say that arts is very important. You are the first Minister of Education to say that we should do away with the math and science stream. You're the first one, and I applaud that, and I agree with that. After all, as I said, for 20 years I've been saying this. It's fallen on deaf ears. Now, the first pathway, I'm so sorry I'm taking up so much time here. The first pathway to education and learning is storytelling. I don't mean the storytelling from the RTM TV or all these nonsensical things. The P. Ramlee style is okay, that's good. I'm talking about storytelling which has meaning behind it. I'll give you an example, and let's see if you can understand this. There was a woodsman. This is from Jalaluddin Rumi. I'm not going to quote the modern people like Toffler and things like this. Why? We have a 1400-year history of Islamic civilization. And as I said, as a scholar myself, this is the story. A woodsman, he was out hunting one day, and then he heard this groaning. So he went to investigate, and he saw a bear caught in a bear trap. And he felt so sorry for the bear. It looked like the bear was crying. So he went closer to the bear, and the bear seemed to also realize that he's trying to help him. Saw his foot was caught in a bear trap. He undid the bear trap, let the bear run loose. The next morning when he woke up and he left his hut, he saw there was a pile of fish outside his hut. And he was wondering, who could have done this? Again the next day, a pile of oranges. Again he thought to himself, who could have done this? Well, maybe it could have been the bear. So the third day he said, I'm going to wait for him. Sure enough, he saw the bear sneaking up with another horde of nuts. So he jumped out, and the bear and him became fast friends. Soon they were walking together, fishing together, all kinds of things together, doing everything together. One day the man said to the bear, you know, brother bear, you know, it has to be brother bear, right? He said, you know, I feel a bit sleepy. Let me just rest my eyes here for a while and then we'll continue hunting. So the bear said, of course, master, you saved my life. So the guy started sleeping. As he was asleep, a mosquito alighted on the man's head. And the bear saw that. The bear, not wanting the man to be harmed, he thought this mosquito should never do this. The bear lifted up its paw and whacked the fellow on the head to kill the mosquito. Of course, the man died. Now, you know what the moral of the story here is? If you put your trust in fools, what's going to happen is disaster. I told this story on the radio, and the person who was listening to this didn't understand it. He asked me, what happened to the bear? So I replied, he became a politician.
Thank you very much.
This is storytelling that educates. This is the kind of thing that we should have in school as far as literature is concerned. What do you call it? Saadi. These are for kids. Kalayla wa Dimna. Alf Layla wa Layla. These are, all peoples can learn this. The West loves these things. What about the stories of Aesop's fables? All of these things need to be brought back to the schools and not start with all this, you know, Jandela, whatever it is. I'm so sorry.
Thank you so much, Dato.
Melissa, I can reply
you
to
want to reply?
Taufik.
Yes.
Actually, we are friends. We were together in Umrah trip back to the year 2000. When was that? I couldn't recall. And by the way, Taufik is the son of Said Naqib Alatas. Yeah. And he was appointed, politically appointed by Tun Said Abdullah Badawi as a director of IKIM. Then, when I came to know him and we went to Umrah together. And he was the first IKIM director who produced a book of series of jokes. So I really encourage you to grab that book. It was published by MPH, I'm mistaken. Yeah, books of jokes. We are lacking of joke and storytelling. Yes, I applaud you. We need a lot of storytelling. I encourage you to read his book of jokes. No other scholars ever produced book on jokes. I'm talking about modern scholars. In the past, we have Al-Jahiz, who produced Bukhala, Masakin, and a lot of other books. But now, he's the only Malaysian scholars who produce book on jokes. I really encourage you to grab that book. I enjoy it, and I believe everybody will enjoy it. So thank you very much for your suggestion. And yes, the way forward, we will never politically appoint anybody to certain position. I won't do it. That will be done through the empowerment of our higher learning institution. We won't repeat the mistakes done by the previous regime. We will never leave our education to political appointees. We will leave it to the scholars, academics, and people with good heart like Tan Sri Jeffrey Chia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you. Now that was a very interesting session. Now, for those who have more questions and who want to actually come up with your views, ASLI will be actually hosting roundtable sessions. Please get in touch with ASLI, all right? And you can be part of those roundtables and put forth your views. And we will carry those views back to the minister. All right, we will end this session. And before we conclude, so I would like to invite Yang Bahagia Tan Sri Dr. Jeffrey Chia, Chairman of ASLI, to present mementos of appreciation to our guests of honor today.